Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
Today's guests, all our Friday guests, brought to you by Langley Chrysler. Looking to buy? Do it all from the comfort of your home. And Langley Chrysler will deliver the test drive to you. They will also pick up your vehicle for maintenance, then deliver it back to you, clean and sanitized. Wow! Talk about a 21st century car dealership. See for yourself at LangleyChrysler.com. This is unbelievable. Just ahead of Jamie McLennan, all right? Just ahead of Jamie. We just talked about, what the stinkiest part of Vancouver is, right?
We got a ton of reaction.
And I was talking about Highway 17 with the landfill there. Any bridge you're talking about?
People
Ryan?
backed me up on the Alex Fraser Bridge, by the way. People backed me up on that.
One person.
Multiple people.
Alex Fraser and Golden Ears, south end of the Golden Ears. We got a ton of texts.
But people did back up the landfill thing on Highway 17 as well. So
you can text us to 600-200 or 604. 604-200. I got excited about stinky places there. 604-200-9494. The strange part here is that since we've been talking about stinky places in Vancouver, I don't know what's happened in this studio.
Oh, my goodness.
But it reeks.
It reeks.
It smells like a sewage plant in here.
It smells like a broken sewage somewhere either above us or below us.
Would you have for dinner last night?
No, it's got nothing to do with that.
Like, I'm not kidding. Like,
it is weird.
Like, the moment we talked about it, something
bad.
happened.
Something happened here.
Okay.
We got to call maintenance.
Derek, get on it.
We got to call maintenance. It's bad.
Okay. Noodles is joining us now, brought to you by Langley Chrysler. Jamie McLennan, a long time no talk to. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. And I'm just going to say this on the smell. Mm-hmm. Somebody just own up to it. That's what it is. You guys are in tight spaces.
No.
You know at some point like that something's going to let slip, and it's trying to be quiet, and you're going to try and point at somebody else and go, I didn't, I smelled it. Listen, just own up to it.
No.
We've all been there. We've all been in tight spaces, and it's not a sewage leak. It's a sewage leak from one of your coworkers. That's what I was saying.
I'm telling you, if this smell came out of somebody's body, they got a major problem. It's just awful here. But we were just talking about stinky places in Vancouver, and bang.
Something happened. Something happened.
Yeah, we're on the list now. Okay, Noodles, let's get serious here if we can. Vegas and Colorado have now clinched NHL playoff spots. Vegas was the first team to do that. It seems like they are destined to meet in the playoffs in the West Division. Who wins that series?
I have to be consistent. I think Colorado's the best team in the West, and I think they might be the best team in the league. Mm-hmm. COVID shut them down. We'll see how Rantanen and Grubauer react after being on the COVID list. I'm not sure if they have it or just close contact, but it might take them a little bit to get revved back up. But if you look at Colorado, and I was a Colorado fan last year, I felt like Joe Sakic, I didn't say drop the ball. You want to rely on your goaltending. Grubauer's a guy who has stubbed his toe with Washington, where Holtby went back in. Mm-hmm. Then he gets an opportunity with Colorado, gets hurt. Then you go to Francouz, and Francouz gets hurt and inconsistent, and all of a sudden you got Michael Hutchinson making saves for you in Game 7 against Dallas. The look on Joe Sakic's face said it all. I call it a Scrabble face, where he's got letters in front of him and he can't make out a word because he's looking at what's going on. I think Colorado is the best team in the West. Vegas is really deep as well, and I don't see any weaknesses in their lineup. But McKinnon's that top line is an absolute beast to deal with. So I just don't see a match for that anywhere else. But that being said, you got to go head to head, and I should give Vegas their due, but I really like Colorado, and I like the moves they made at the deadline to just give themselves a little bit more depth. And one of the under-the-radar moves, I know it was kind of a cap move, but Devon Toews is a hell of a defenseman. That defensive core is ridiculous on paper, and they're just going to get better and better with guys like Byram, who's going to get more experience, and he's an absolute stud, and you add him in with Makar and Girard, that core is unreal.
Yeah. You just mentioned a couple of players there with heavy Vancouver connections in Toews and Byram. What do you like about Grubauer? Because I think a lot of people that don't follow the Avalanche on a regular basis, and certainly that's the case, Jamie, for a lot of people this year where we're so focused on the North. A lot of people have a hard time believing he's somebody who can deliver a Stanley Cup to Colorado. What do you like about him?
I like his positioning. I think he uses his body well. He's got powerful legs. Every time I watch him, he doesn't seem to be out of position and chasing the puck. And when I look at him, like he's square. Like he's not a skinny goalie that's trying to fill holes. There's just a real compact goaltender there that's really comfortable in the net and uses his extremities well. I like him as a goaltender. The challenge is with health for him last year, because he had a fantastic statistical season last year in the regular season and then got hurt in the playoffs. But he's got to prove it in the playoffs at the most crucial time. And I know you never question an injury. It happens. But he still has to go through that process where there's a body of work in the playoffs that we don't know from him. But I like his skill set. I like his size. He's not a 6'5" goaltender, but he's thick and he moves well in the net, and he's really powerful, his base from side to side. So there's a lot to like in Grubauer.
Jimmy, got to ask you about last night starting Demko, Holtby. Demko came out in the postgame. Clearly he's not 100% with the COVID issues. What were your thoughts on Demko getting the start over Holtby last night when Holtby played so well against the Maple Leafs?
Yeah, I could see the thought process of Travis trying to just get, Demko back into the mix. And it's kind of, we're not privy to behind the scenes to how he was physically and mentally. That would be up to the coaching staff and the doctors and everything. Obviously, he's been cleared so that he can play, but there were a few times where I thought he just looked a little bit sluggish in his game, and that happens where, I just thought it was an absolute miracle that Holtby was that good against the Leafs, given that you couldn't skate. Like for players, you can skate harder, you can shoot harder, you can do little things to get yourself involved in a game. For Holtby, unless he's just sitting at home and having his kids fire pucks at him in the basement, it was unbelievable what he was able to do against the Maple Leafs. And you could see he was gaining confidence, getting into a groove against them. I thought they'd come back with Holtby, but I could understand the logic of getting Demko up and running too. If he's healthy, why not get him back in the net? He's had success against Ottawa. That being said, I covered the game. I thought Ottawa played really well, and I thought the Canucks looked just a little bit tired, maybe mentally and physically off the big series from the Leafs. But Murray made a couple big saves at the right time, and all of a sudden the Canucks couldn't catch that momentum. And then you go 0-4 on the power play, and that basically was the killer, where you allowed 2 power play goals for Ottawa. So, there was a lot to like about Vancouver, but you could tell that I thought there was just a half step or maybe a little less energy and excitement that they didn't have against Toronto.
Jamie, got to ask you, it's good to ask a former NHL goaltender. Mike DiPietro hasn't played in 14 months.
Yeah.
You got to worry about the kid's development, Jamie, at some point. The kid's got to play.
Yeah, I agree 100%. When you're especially a goaltender, there are players that, again, you can absorb a lot of confidence. You can absorb a lot of things by going through the process and practice. Goaltenders have to see that game action. And we always see goaltenders develop at later ages anyways, where they're more physically and they're more mentally equipped to handle the day-to-day duress. And Demko is a prime example. We're seeing him grow right in front of our eyes the last couple of years. That's why Jimmy Benning, lets Markstrom go, to give him some runway to continue to grow. DiPietro is in a real tough spot. Obviously, you want him in the AHL playing a ton of games, going through the process, going through game day process. I guess the only thing I could say is if the lights get closed out officially on paper for the playoffs, maybe get him a game or two, or even if he's backing up, get him some mop-up duty just to get some cadence into his game, where he goes through it and sees some pucks and has that intensity level of a game, not just trying to work really hard in practice.
And Jamie, before we let you go, Nick Foligno makes his debut with the Leafs. He gets an assist. Toronto beats Winnipeg 5-3. What's he going to do for the Leafs, and can he play goal?
He can't play goal, so that's one thing. They're going to have to sort that out in a hurry. I thought Jack Campbell was good last night, but I just my level of confidence in him compared to a guy like Frederik Andersen is healthy. When he's healthy, is different because I think Freddie's the better goaltender. But Foligno is. I thought it was the perfect fit for the Leafs because he's something different that they don't have in that top six. And that's somebody who can play an irritable role and have some bite and go and get that puck. I know that Zach Hyman is a guy that everyone loves and covets, but Foligno's a more skilled Hyman. He's got better hands. He's kind of been through the rigors. He's a guy who will drop the gloves. Where Hyman's not a fighter. Hyman's just a really hard-working guy who goes and gets the pucks and is a good line mate for two-star players. Where I think Foligno is just, he's a different look. He's a big body who can create space and kind of play. He can play a skill game one night, and then the next night he can play a real physical game and be a good teammate that way on the ice. So just something different that the Leafs, to me, didn't have in that top six, and I think he'll be a perfect fit there.
Noodles, welcome back. Nice to have you back. Thanks so much for this. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.